My journey with motivational self-help books. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. I have a little book in the bedroom that I found going through all my stuff when I was sorting through my attic and, deciding that I was, downsizing within my home. I'm not moving or anything, but I'm simplifying my home, and I was donating a lot of things and throwing out other things and organizing other things and clearing out the clutter. And I came across a little book. It was from back in the 70s. And back then, there weren't a whole lot of motivational, inspirational books like there are today. Now the markets are flooded with them. But back then, there weren't so much. And this was more or less a Christian, religious, little motivational book. And it had little stories in there. And I hadn't quite left for California yet from back in Appalachia. I sure needed a lot of motivation. My grandma motivated me, and of course my mama motivated me, but there wasn't a lot of motivation back. There wasn't a lot of motivation back there. The only motivation was to move from one end of the holler to the other end of the holler. And that was about the most motivation that you were going to get. And but I remember that little book right before I left for California. And it was basically, you can do this, whatever it is. You can make your dreams come true. You can make great things happen in your life. And I found that little book. I had held on to it all those years and all my travels and all the boxes and moving around. I found that little book. I wasn't looking for it. I just happened to come across it. And so I keep it by my bedside. And then there was another book called, I think it was called Total Self-Confidence or something like that. And that's kind of a synchronicity story. I bought the book. I think it was called Total Self-Confidence. It was just a little paperback book back in maybe the 80s. And I lost it along the way. And one day I was walking into a bookstore with my kids when they were little, like 6, 7, and 8. And there was a Thomas Choo-Choo set up in the bookstore. So we were making our way up there. And then I just grabbed a handful of books and thought I would read them while the kids played with the Choo-Choo train set. And I started talking to a woman when I got up there, and her son or daughter was playing with the train set too, as my kids were playing. And I said, I remember many years ago, I read this book called Total Self-Confidence, and I wish I could find it again. And then I looked down, and what do you think I had out of 5 books I had grabbed, not even looking at the books I was picking? It was the updated version of Total Self-Confidence. I think it's called Ultimate Total Self-Confidence. And I have that book now. That was, quite a few years back I got that book, and I've carried it around with me. And it stays by my bed too. And it's just a little motivational book, a wonderful, wonderful book. Very simple, very easy to read. And I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. But in between all those books, I read and read and read and read and read to the point of I would get embarrassed because I would go to the bookstores and I would buy so many motivational, inspirational, self-help, self-improvement books, through the late 70s and the 80s and into the 90s and probably into the 2000s. I can't quite remember. And then I kind of felt like, if I don't know it now, I don't know it. And I could write the books now, I felt. And so, it wasn't that I quit reading them. It's just that I felt that I had had enough. I'd saturated myself good and I was good. And I remember one time I had a boyfriend, and this is years and years ago. And I was reading all these motivational books, and my apartment was covered with motivational books. My bathroom, I had a big whole bunch of them all around my bathroom, around my bed. Every room I went, I had motivational books. And I just absorbed them, like some people absorb novels and fiction and all that. I absorbed motivational books and self-help books and encouragement books, inspirational books. And I was so embarrassed because the guy that I was dating saw these books, so many. I mean, it was really a good thing. It was a positive thing, but I had so many. I was like, I didn't want him to know I got all my inspiration, from the books. I didn't get all my inspiration from the books. I got it from a lot of different sources and places and from inward and, people and experiences. And yet I also got that from books, and I learned a lot from books. And I was so embarrassed. He wasn't embarrassed about it. He thought it was really cool. But, I was kind of embarrassed. But, some people were out doing all kinds of things, and here I was home reading all these motivational books. And I think so many of them positively affected my life. They gave me the encouragement that I needed, that I wasn't maybe getting in other places. And so I found it through books. And, making your dreams come true, making your life come true, being your best you, how to live your best life. And in part, maybe those books, some of those books, many of those books helped make me who I am today. Probably, at some level. But then again, I was always a motivational, inspirational person from the time I was a child. I was just like I am now. Just older now, that's all. And, but yeah, that started my motivational self-help inspirational books. So I read and read and read. And then finally there came a point where I said, I can either write books or I can just live them. And so I began living what I had learned, and I do. Occasionally I may pick up one, but I don't really read much like that anymore. I used to watch a lot of TV programs too, motivational and all kinds of programs. I don't watch really hardly any TV at all. I did watch a couple shows over the last year or so I got interested in, but now those are kind of ended, and I really don't have an interest in picking up with anymore at this time. I have other things. I work on so many projects in my life. I go back to college. I work out every day. I'm socially very active in church groups and things like that. And I have a beautiful family. I spend my time with my beautiful family. I love working on my home. I love working on projects. I'm an artist. I love to cook. I love to go out. I love to have fun. I mean, there's so many things, But yeah, I look back upon that as part of my journey, part of my healing process was those motivational self-help inspirational books. And, some of them were better than others. Some of them weren't very good. Some of them were fantastic, And so that's my journey. We all have our journey. We all have the things that have helped get us to where we're at today. And so anyhow, well, my phone is ringing and I am going to go here. And I hope you have a great day. May God bless you. And I hope you like, share, subscribe. And I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.